In this video, I'm going to be answering a user's question about my thoughts on isotonic exercises used by Charles Atlas and Marlon Birch. So this question comes from at Rosendovendam 29 or 5926. And they asked, what are your thoughts on isotonic exercises like Charles Atlas and Marlon Birch for strongman feats? Also, would doing isotonics alone cause muscle and strength loss? I'm asking in part to train in one area at a time to become a master in that one area. Thank you. Thank you for asking that at Rosendovendam5926. Now, to answer your question, so when it comes to isotonics, isotonics is really an umbrella term. I actually had to look it up just now to see what you actually meant. And what I think you're talking about is something known as dynamic tension that Charles Atlas would do. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with what dynamic tension by Charles Atlas is, essentially it's like pushing and pulling against yourself, right? Like if I was going to be doing biceps curls, I would be curling up, right, with this arm, but I would also be pushing down with this arm, and then there's like a whole bunch of different things that Charles Atlas put together in a book that he then would sell, his dynamic tension course, which was made famous by the bully kicking the sand in the skinny guy's face. He gets a Charles Atlas course, gets all muscled up, and then punches out the bully. Classic ad. All right, so to answer your question as far as like using it specifically for strongman feats, when I'm talking about strongman feats, that can also be kind of a confusing term. So with what most people probably think of strongman feats would be the things that like Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall do, where they're doing a competition, lifting heavy things, going for a run. And that is definitely a strongman feat. But what I'm talking about is actually like performing strongman feats. Things like bending steel bars, breaking chains, rolling up frying pans, that sort of thing. Now, it might work. I really don't know. I don't use it. I'm inclined more. I prefer progressive resistance training for strength training. That is the easiest one to notice that you're getting stronger in. It's for me, it's like the best for building all-around strength. And I use barbells, I use kettlebells, I use clubs, I use like things like chin-ups and that sort of thing. As the weight gets heavier, I know I'm getting stronger. If I'm able to do a weight that I previously struggled with more times or easier, I know I'm making progress. And that is what I use on myself, and that is what I use on my personal training clients. Now, for the specific application of bending steel and breaking chains, I do use isometrics. And that would be something like pushing or taking a steel bar that I'm not currently capable of bending and pushing it down on my thigh as hard as I can in order to actualize the strength that I've accumulated on the weights. Now for like the dynamic tension or isotonic exercises that like Charles Atlas does, any kind of stimulation is going to be a good thing, right? Anytime you challenge the muscle fibers, it's going to be a good thing, and it's going to get you a bit stronger, but it's just not going to be as noticeable as something like with weight training. One of the things that I think that people don't know about Charles Atlas, and I really don't know that much about Marlon Birch, is that Charles Atlas claimed that he got stronger from dynamic tension and that he tested it out on the weights. In actuality, he was probably doing a bit of both so that he could maintain a bit of integrity, but training with the weights in a progressive manner, which got him stronger. And he also would practice the various feats. Like I don't know if he bent steel, but I do know he ripped phone books, which at the time weren't about that big. They were probably around that big. And I think they were called telephone directories back then, which is old school way of talking about it. So to answer your question, yeah, you could probably get some value out of it, but I would think you'd be better off serving mastering lifting weights. There are so many different things and avenues that you can go with lifting weights that even after being a personal trainer for, I don't know, it's been like 22, 23 years or something like that, I'm still learning. I'm still learning different ways of programming. I'm still brainstorming different ways of programming. I'm still learning from picking the brains of others when it comes to programming. And that's something that I could probably spend the rest of my life learning, is the programming aspect of it. Now, if you're specifically interested in learning or being able to train up to the feats, then what you would be best doing is learning from a coach. I don't really coach this stuff, but I can refer you to coaches that would be better at teaching you than I am. And then you could train the feats when you learn the techniques behind it with isometrics. And you can also use progressive resistance training to build your all-around strength, to build your base. And then like as you get closer to a show, or if there's a particular feat you want to be able to pull off, you start doing isometrics closer to it so that you can teach your body to be able to use the strength that you've accumulated in one particular endeavor rather than your body holding strength in reserve. So anyways, I hope that answers your question. If anybody else has any questions, drop it in the comments below and I'll try to get back to you with your very own custom video. But if you like this video, let me know by hitting that like button. If you want to see more of this sort of thing, subscribe to the channel. If you think anybody should see this, please share it with them. This YouTube thing isn't rocket science. And if you want to support the channel, do all the things that I just mentioned. Or you could just pick up or that sort of thing helps me get found by the algorithm, and it also gives me ideas for content by giving you guys what you're asking about. But you can also support the channel by picking up a copy of my book, available on Amazon or through the links on my website. But that is it for today. Stay tuned for the next time. And in the meantime, please stay happy, healthy, and strong. Eric Moss, over and out.